Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, or wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining me. It's very nice to be here once again. I've got the house to myself. Had the house to myself for a whole week while my son's been in Turkey, getting a nice bronze look. And he spent one night at home to do his washing, and now he's gone to his girlfriend's until Friday. So I've got another few days to play on YouTube without having the internet go down. So all of that's very positive. Anyway, why are we here today? We're here to discuss the Michael Vaughan case. And there's a very specific reason why we're here. And that is due to some comments that Harsh Reality made in a live stream. So I'll fill you in on the backstory. That won't take very long. And then we'll get into the actual research. All right, so that sounds good. I've got two screens running. Let's say a few hellos while people are coming in. Teffy is on the replay crew because it's husband's birthday. Happy birthday, Teffy's husband. Karma, does anyone know if this will be with Harsh Reality? Unfortunately not. Harsh has had to disappoint you, so that will become clear. But hello anyway. Alessia, Diane, hello. Joe, Starkia Rottweilers, really looking forward to this. 3 a.m. here. You must be in Australia or New Zealand. You must be. Patrice. Who else have we got? Laurie, hello from Florida. Susie Boo from sunny Sheffield. Oh, that's not too far away. You're the wrong side of the Pennines, but I'll let you off. I'll let you off. I didn't know I'd written anything on his community page, but I have got his. I've got some correspondence from Harsh that I'm going to share with you. Hi, Margie, Mississippi girl. Work disrupts YouTube watching. That's all right. Have me in your ears. I spend all day with YouTube in my ears, and it works just as well. You won't need your eyes for this one. You can just listen. Linda, hello. Panda Bear. Karen, Texas, hello. Tony. JD. Phoenix. You got a notification. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. YouTube notifications are few and far between. You actually got a notification. That's amazing. Nana B, Dawn, Hope, Joyce, Pam, Nice Marie, Fern, Twiggy Kilt. That's good. Inquisitive Jade, Pretty Petal, Patty Girl, Corinna Lynn. Sorry if I've butchered that name. Who else have we got? Pink. Scottish Lass. Hello from Scotland. Not too far from me. Little bit. Nana Bell. Stephen. Lana. Mary Jane. Loads of people coming in now. Someone has to. Bex. Purple AJ. Love My Charlie Faith. Who said Kate? Rosalie, Snoozy Girl, Christina, could go on all day. Trixie Star, hello. Who else we've got? Fact Finder, Phoenix One, Vicky, Gail, Mandy, Diane, Debbie. It ain't the butterfly, it's the Tootsie Roll. That's very good. Samantha, okay, I'm sorry if I've missed your name, but I am going to stop now because, we could be here all day, couldn't we? Okay, so let's do a little bit of a rewind back to Sunday evening, and Harsh Reality went on Cracking Cases channel. Now, I watch Cracking Cases. I like Kamanali. I have a lot of respect for them. I watch most of their lives. Maybe the odd one I miss, because generally they do them in the middle of the night for me, and I'm on the replay crew. But usually I watch them, even if I am on the replay crew. But I did happen to be watching it live, even though it was very late for me in the UK. It was actually midnight, I think it started, and they had some technical difficulties at the beginning. Anyway, so Harsh Reality started to talk about the Michael Vaughan case, which is interesting. Interesting, because says he's not allowed to talk about the Michael Vaughan case, but let's get there when we get there. So he said this, and I made a video about it yesterday, Monday, challenging Harsh to a debate. A good old-fashioned, civilized debate or a discussion about the timeline in the Michael Vaughan case. I'm perfectly fine with somebody not sharing my view about a case at all, as long as that's where I'm just talking about that. Give me a minute or two, we'll get there. If you don't share my opinion about a case, that's absolutely fine, but you've got to show some evidence, right? If you have a particular opinion and it's just your opinion, fair enough, that's fine. That's fine. But, so anyway, Harsh said this, and before I play it, I'd just like you, perhaps, to exercise this as you're thinking. Critical thinking is required in this stream. Let's play it again before you missed it, in case you missed it. Critical thinking. You've got to apply some critical thinking, right? Because we're going to be going through a lot of research. This research that Harsh Reality has done. So we're going to be going through it. All right, so this is what Harsh said. So I just clipped in my video yesterday, I just clipped the few seconds where Harsh Reality talked about me. So here we go. So the credit for this goes to Cracking Cases. This is from Cracking Cases Live. But I want you to listen to what Harsh Reality said on Cracking Cases. So the link to this stream is in the description box below. The credit goes to Cracking Cases. But Harsh spoke about me. And yeah, it's time to be Harsh back.
All I'll say to people, and you'll know this, you know, we have, like all of these other channels, and I've got respect for some of these other channels, the likes of Michelle After Dark, who blew a nut at one of her subscribers the other day because they had a comment about Brandy Neal. But I know full well that Michelle After Dark doesn't know what I know.
Yeah.
She hasn't got the research that I have on this. She hasn't put the manpower into that case that we have. And
I will say
that's a fact.
Yeah.
I don't know how anybody would have the amount of research.
It's not a fact. When you're stating something as fact, you need to prove it. And I'm afraid Harsh has not proved it. But Harsh did respond. And by the way, this is not, absolutely not a stream to bash Harsh or anyone else involved in the case. Although we might have to do a musical interlude in a minute. Yeah, I'm not bashing Harsh. I've no opinion of Harsh. I've never had an opinion of Harsh. Right? I watched some of his videos. Don't really have an opinion on him. right? Not my favorite YouTuber, not the worst, right? But he responded, and this is what he said. So this was in my comments section. So I'm going to read this out to you because the text is really small. Will you two just give it a rest? Soon as they start fighting. As soon as I clicked live, as soon as I clicked go live, they started fighting, like play fighting. Anyway, Harsh says, I emailed you, Michelle, but I will publicly state that I stand by my comment regarding you calling out a subscriber. I don't care, right? Irrelevant to the discussion. I will run my channel any way I like. And when I'm going through a press conference on a case, which is to publicize something incredibly positive for Michael Vaughan, which was the introduction of the Homeward Bound program, which I both talked about in that live when I went through the press conference, and I talked about again yesterday, because that press conference wasn't by the parents. It wasn't the parents demanding a press conference to set the record straight. It was something incredibly positive for Michael. And that was Michael's case has been accepted into the Homeward Bound program. Now, a very kind trucking company started the Homeward Bound program. And as far as I know, it's the only company that does this in the entire United States. We certainly don't have a similar program here in the UK either. So it's somewhat groundbreaking, and it's great publicity for Michael's case. In case you didn't see that presser, the Homeward Bound program is this trucking company puts, these are big trailers, right? Big trailers. Michael's face and his details, the info on where to call if you've got a tip, will be trucking around the United States because law enforcement have got reason to believe Michael may have been taken out of state. The trailer featured in that very presser, after the presser, was heading off to Colorado. There's 3 trailers, I think, with Michael's details on. So that's what the press conference was about. Harsh Reality didn't mention that. Anyway, this person called Baby Girl came into my live, disrupting the chat, saying she doesn't care what law enforcement says. She believes the parents are involved. So I stopped my live and I said, why don't you prove it? You're not coming in here making slanderous claims like that without proving it. But it's irrelevant to this discussion, completely irrelevant. So why Harsh decided to start with that, I've no idea. Because the challenge was to a debate, because he believes that I've not done my due diligence. He believes, and he's confirmed it, he believes it's a fact that he's done more research than I have on this case. So Harsh went on to say, with respect to the research comment, I stated that my research of the Michael Vaughan case would be more extensive than yours. It isn't. And I have emailed you regarding this. You did. And I would happily discuss the information further off the platform. That wasn't the challenge. Unacceptable. I would respect, however, acknowledgement regarding the volume of research, as I think it shows that we are extremely serious about finding Michael. Yes, the volume's there. The volume's there. Yeah. What I don't like is the bias. And it's certainly not up-to-date research, because the latest entry is from March. So there's been 2 significant press conferences since then, which are not in. The details not in. But anyway, we'll talk about the research when we get to the research. And I hasten to add none of the research that they've got will find Michael. So I just do not share your views on the case, and that's fine. That's fine. But what you certainly haven't given me is research that proves it in any way, shape, or form. You made it sound like I had said that you are. Hold on. Right. You made it sound like I had said that you do not do your due diligence on cases, but that's not the case. And anyone is welcome to listen to exactly what I said. So you've just heard what he said. My comment was specific to the Michael Vaughan case and comparing the amount of research. Okay. So he's admitted there that he believes I've not done my due diligence on the Michael Vaughan case. I do not form an opinion on any case. I do not say I believe this child was abducted without doing thorough and extensive research from all angles. Just because I happen to do that in the background is irrelevant. You have no idea how much research I do, Harsh, on any case. You have no idea how much research I've done on any one case. Because even in the Summer Wells case, of which I'm probably best known on YouTube, right? My channels are better known for Summer Wells than any other case, I think. I only show on my channel a fraction of what research I've actually done. So you're wrong. You're blatantly wrong. So again, I am happy to discuss anything you wish to, but please do read my email. I did read the email. I responded, and I responded with something very similar to what I'm going to say here. Now, I'm not going to read Harsh's email. It was very similar to this, a little bit longer. But he attached a PDF. So it's that PDF we are going to turn to in a second. So I said, I will read your email. I did. And I will consider whatever you have sent. I did. However, any discussion with you will be in public only. My offer is for a public debate because overwhelmingly, when I made the video yesterday, overwhelmingly, there were a few people who said, no, keep it offline. And that's fair enough. That's fine. But I come from a community, right? This very channel that we're speaking on now, had a life before true crime. And I used to do debates on this channel. I used to do a lot of discussions and debates. I used to have people on my channel discussing, and I used to go on other channels discussing. Like sometimes friendly discussions, sometimes actual debates. So I come from a community that is known for public debating, and it's very healthy, right? You know, the public gets to hear both sides of an argument. And when it's done civilly, now it can be done on one or the other's channel, or it can be done on a neutral platform, right? So, you know, if there's two opponents that may start shouting at each other, may go loggerheads with each other, then do it on a neutral platform, right? And I would have been happy for it to go on a neutral platform. But the offer was to do it in public. And the vast majority of people in the comments section said they'd like to see it. They'd like to see a debate between me and Harsh Reality. Now, I know we share a lot of subscribers together, right? And just because we disagree on one case doesn't necessarily mean we disagree on all cases, right? And some of you guys who like my content might not agree with what I say. You might watch my content. You might be a hate watcher. I don't know. Or you might come for some, you know, healthy discussion. I don't know, right? I certainly watch channels that I don't agree with because I actually enjoy their channel. So there's nothing wrong, right? Nothing wrong with disagreeing. But with debate, it's important to, you know, to set some ground rules. It's important to be civilized, calm. Both people bring their evidence forward, and then you go through the evidence, ask each other questions, ask each other for further clarification. It's healthy. I come from that kind of community, right? So I'm not happy. I don't want to discuss I don't want to discuss it in private. I've no need to discuss it in private. I don't discuss with any other creator any research that I do in private. I've never have. I'm not saying I never will. It's just that I don't need to. I'm not a good team player, guys, right? I'm not a good team player, I have to say. I'm not a good team player. I like to work alone. And when I have some information that I want to share, then I don't just want to share it with a few people. I want to share it on my platform. I want to share it on YouTube, and I want to share it on, I tend to share stuff on Facebook, in my Facebook group, actually. You know, some of the stuff that I don't put on YouTube, it's in my Facebook group. Thank you, Chasing. Like and respect you both. If public, I'm happy to provide my channel as a neutral zone. Thank you. Well, however, Chasing, it won't be happening, because I'm not going to read the email, but I'll just give you one line, because I don't kind of believe in sharing private emails. You know, I don't know. Maybe you'd be fine with it, but I'm not gonna just in case. I'm gonna have to squint because I can't make this bigger for whatever reason. Okay, so I'll just read the first couple of lines. So he says, I've seen your challenge, and sadly, I will not be going onto your channel to discuss this case. It is not because of not feeling that I could not stand my ground. And I've attached a segment of research, blah, blah, blah. So it's a PDF we're going to go through. He's put, the reason I am not looking to venture onto your channel to discuss this specific case is for personal reasons. I was told I could, along with a friend, fund a private investigator. But one stipulation was that while the investigation was running, I would not speak of the case on social media. So his reason for not doing a debate is because he's not allowed to discuss the case on social media. This is what he's told me. However, he was on the Cracking Cases on Sunday night discussing the case. So I don't know. You believe what you want to believe, guys, because I don't know. I don't know. Is he making an excuse? Is it genuine? Maybe he shouldn't have discussed anything. And he didn't discuss anything major on Cracking Cases, right? He didn't discuss any details. So I don't know. But he did share. Where am I? There I am. Yes, it's dark. You're not going to see me for most of this stream. So, will you two shut up? They've not stopped, have they? I'm having to shout. Because it's a stipulation that while this private investigator that Harsh and a friend are funding, he's not allowed to talk about the case on social media. I don't know. I've got to say, my personal opinion is that it's an excuse. However, could be true. I don't know. I don't know. Because he's got nothing. Yeah. Yes, that is true. So before we get into this research, I'm going to read you some of the PDF. And he hasn't said I can't share it, except for some of the text that's in red. Apparently, there's a few segments that are in red, and apparently that information law enforcement doesn't want anyone to know about. So I won't. There's nothing relevant anyway to what I'm going to discuss. So it's not like I'm missing anything out because I've been told that I can't include this or that. There's nothing relevant to the timeline that's in red. Okay, so, you know, make of it what you will. There's nothing I can say, really, other than that. I can just tell you what he's told me. All right, so before we get into this research, I just want to play you a couple of clips from the most recent, it's not the most recent press conference. The most recent press conference was the one the other day on the Homeward Bound programme. The one before that, which was, it was done a few days before the year anniversary. So it was a press conference called for the year anniversary, or the marking. I don't like using the term anniversary, but the marking of the year of Michael being missing. So it was done a few days before. I think it was the 22nd of July. Michael went missing on the 27th of July. Because all the agencies that wanted to be there and stand with Police Chief J.D. Huff at the podium, at the lectern, they couldn't get it all together on the 27th, so they did it on the 22nd instead. It was a day they could all do. So I want to share you a minute or two of that. That isn't included in this research documentation. That presser isn't included. The most recent presser isn't included, the one for the Homeward Bound program. And also, surprisingly, the interview that Tyler and Brandy did to mark the year that they did with a news outlet, that doesn't appear to be in there as well, which is strange. Because, let me just double check. Because what they've got is, scroll down to the bottom here, is they've got like summaries of the pressers at the back. It's one of the back pages, just a summary. And the last entry is the 24th of March. So this doesn't appear to have been updated since the 24th of March. So the research isn't complete. It's not up to date, but it's up to date. I'll make it up to date. I'll make it up to date, guys, right? We'll talk it through and I'll make it up to date. Okay. Right, so you're going to hear the presser first, just a minute or two, and then I'm going to play a small clip from the interview that Tyler and Brandy did with the news crew. And it's Tyler talking through his event, like how he remembers what it was like when Michael went missing. Okay. All righty. What are you two doing? Get out from under there. Out. Your tails might making a big noise. God's sake. All right. I don't need that one. This one. All right. So I've put the closed captions on. So if Cassie's noisy, then there's nothing I can do about it. This is why I don't record at home. This is why I record when I'm in a field, because it's quieter. It's quieter than doing anything in my house. I'm used to it. I just tune it out, but I don't know. It must be driving you insane. All right. So you'll have heard this before. I've played it umpteen times, but we're going to play it one more time. It's only a minute or two. Right. Here we go.
So in our efforts to develop a detailed timeline of events leading up to Michael's appearance, we've processed over 1,000 leads. So we've cleared many of these leads, but not all have been cleared because some require assistance from out of state, more investigators, and probably more importantly, just time to work these things through to make sure we can bring each lead to a conclusion. This process is exhaustive and it takes a lot of time, and we believe someone out there will ultimately provide us with some information that'll help us solve this case. It's important to note that as we continue to refine our timeline, we now believe that Michael disappeared in a smaller window of time, and that's probably between the time of 6:40 p.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. on the 27th. Earlier in the investigation, we needed assistance.
Okay, so that's that. That's that. So J.D. Huff, police chief there of Fruitland Police, saying that they've refined their timeline. So this is a year into the investigation. They've been able to refine their timeline, and they know that Michael went missing between, 6:40 and 7 p.m. So I'm very surprised that that presser doesn't appear in this documentation that I've got here on my other screen. Very surprised. Thought that would have been one of the most important pieces of research you could ever have. You know, what law enforcement have actually said about the timeline. This document is meant to be the timeline. So why isn't what law enforcement said about the timeline in the timeline? I don't understand. Anyway. Right, let's listen now to what Tyler said about the events of that day.
Tyler, can you walk us through just that night? I know you were home with the kids. Can you just walk us through everything that happened last July?
Went back to change bug. Michael was playing on his Switch. She was sleeping, so it took a minute for me to rouse her. And then I changed a diaper and ordered pizza. Probably took me, I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. And came back out and went outside to smoke, and Monkey wasn't outside, so I figured he was inside with his brother, wasn't inside, and then I started to freak out, and it's all kind of a blur from there, just running all over the neighborhood and tickle.
Tickles.
Oh, I love her. I love her so much. I love her so much. He goes on to say that they order pizza. I'll play this little bit. I'll play this little bit about the ordering pizza because it's this is big in the timeline. This is big.
It's at 6:40. I really couldn't tell you any other timestamp behind besides that with 100% certainty. And I don't even know if that's when I entered the order or when I finished the order or what. The receipt said 6:40.
And were you in the house when you ordered, or were you outside?
No, I was in the back bedroom with Bug.
Following, I mean, when you realized that you didn't know where Michael was, I mean, what did you do then? Did you knock on neighbors' doors?
I came outside and I looked down the street and I hopped in the car and called Brandy and drove to the splash pad and then all over the neighborhood, walking, running, driving. Like I couldn't tell you where. I mean, I didn't leave the neighborhood, but all up and down this, 8th Street complex. We were both all over.
Owe more than £6,000 in debt and only able to make those minimum payments.
Some of the people that like to speculate.
Okay, I don't need to play anymore.
Well,
okay, so that's what Tyler said about what happened. So you got to remember that, he said he was panicking once he realized Michael wasn't in the house or in the yard. He was panicking. He doesn't know whether the 6:40 on the pizza order was when he started the order, when he finished the order. It's just like everything was just a blur, right? And he went all around the neighborhood trying to find him, and just all a blur. Thank you, cracking cases. Respect you and hope you know others' views are not ours. It's absolutely fine. I know that. When we were live, I can't chat for some reason, saying not subbed again. No idea. I get unsubbed from channels all the time. I've no idea what is going on with YouTube. Notifications don't go through. I get unsubscribed from channels that I subscribe to and don't realize. It's insane. But thank you so much for the $4.99. It's very much appreciated, and I completely understand. I love your channel. I love your work. I think you're great, and just carry on doing what you're doing. So yeah, mutual respect. All right, let's get into this this timeline then. So don't want to add that to my stream. Okay, so let's just remember who we're talking about. So let me get this is who we're talking about. We're talking about a then 5-year-old little boy who hasn't been seen since the evening of the 27th of July, 2021. He's been missing 13 months. And his parents are heartbroken. Absolutely heartbroken. And you have to have a heart of stone not to see that. However, in any investigation, whether you're working in law enforcement, whether you're working in research for an industry or a university or whatever, or you're just doing your own research, you're web sleuthing, right? Being emotional about it. Yes, we've got to remember who we are fighting for, who the person is that we're doing this for. And in this case, it's Michael Vaughan, Michael Joseph Vaughan. But we've got to take the emotion out of the research, because when you become too emotional, you become biased, right? And it's my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I believe that the person or persons that did this research that's sitting on the screen next to me here has become too emotional about the case, and they're not seeing it. They're not seeing the bigger picture. They're not seeing anything unless they want to see it. That's just my opinion. Because what we've got, and the reason why I'm not putting it on screen is because there's a load of names in here. There's names, there's addresses. And if I went through to try to redact it all, I honestly would make mistakes, right? And I'd end up doxing somebody. And there's only a small portion of the important portion of this document that I want to go through with you. And I'm going to read it. So you're going to have to trust me that I'm reading this accurately, and I will put my own opinion into it, but I'll let you know when I'm giving my opinion. But why I asked you to exercise some critical thinking at the beginning is because I'm going to ask you some questions as we're going through. And I think it's questions that we should all ask when we're doing research. That we should, you find something and then you maybe develop an opinion on it. And you think, well, is there another explanation? Before you start developing a theory, is there another explanation? Right? And that's what I want you to think about. Is there other explanations for what has been said in this spreadsheet? Right? And so bear that in mind, right? So without further ado, let's do just one more thing. One more thing I want to do is I'm going to put that on screen, because this timeline is what I developed a few weeks ago now. And it's a condensed version of what has been said. So law enforcement have given us some kind of nailed down pieces of information. At the last presser on the not the last but one presser on the 22nd of July, they said Michael disappeared during the window of 6:40 to 7 p.m. So that's nailed into the timeline, right? So that's why it's in red. And then 7:21 was the 911 call. And the law enforcement, J.D. Huff, has confirmed in the same presser, he confirmed that was, thank you, level-headed, like my timeline. Yeah, it's just an easy graphic, right? Because as we'll see with this spreadsheet, when we go through this spreadsheet, right, it's hard. It's hard to keep up. Right? Spreadsheets are great. I don't use spreadsheets personally. They drive me insane. I have nightmares. Like when I work at university, I used to hate doing spreadsheets, and I certainly don't. I have other ways to collate research, right? I've got files upon files upon files of research. I've got 35 gigabytes worth of research on summer wells. Yeah, some would call me obsessed, and I probably am. But when I put myself into a case, I put myself into a case. And I don't draw an opinion on a case unless I've done the research. Okay. So the rest of this, 637, 640, 647, 7, 701, this stuff in green is what Brandy and Tyler have said. So mainly during Twitter space conversations, YouTube, mainly those. So the timeline that Harsh Reality has sent me, that he's claiming that it's his own research, and maybe it is his own research. He did say my research, but then he said we. So maybe there's a team. Doesn't really matter. But Harsh Reality is claiming ownership of this research, and much of this is from Twitter Spaces, YouTube. There's a few audio calls by the looks of it. So all of the YouTubes that I've been able to find that Brandy's been on, I've watched several times. All of the Twitter Spaces that have been recorded, I've watched several times that I could find. And as this is the bulk of this research in this spreadsheet, then, you know, I'm doing the research that they've done. Thank you so much, Natalie, for the $9.99. Thank you, remaining fact-based, Michelle. You don't entertain conspiracy, but rather provide us in-depth critical thinking. Thank you. I try. I have my own opinions. I can give a good conspiracy theory as good as anybody. But when I'm giving my opinion, I give my opinion, and I say it's my opinion. But if I'm saying I believe Michael was abducted, I do not believe the family were involved, then you better believe that I can back that up. You better believe it. Because let's just remember who's at the center of this case. This little boy. If I thought his parents were involved in any way, then I would go for the parents in my videos. But I don't. And the reason why I don't isn't because I'm feeling emotional about them because they're brokenhearted. No. Because many people who murder their children are sorry afterwards and miss them, regret what they've done. Right? But I do not believe in this case because the timeline speaks for itself. That's why. There's no emotion involved in my interpretation of this timeline. Right? Now, this one, finally, this one in blue. I've been able to piece together from Twitter Spaces conversations that Michael was seen at 5:37 or thereabouts by a neighbour who walked him back to his mailbox, right? And then I think there's 5 other neighbours, but I'm not sure. There could be 4 other neighbours. So I put it in blue as a reminder to myself because I wasn't sure whether it's 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. We'll just say several neighbours, all right? Okay. Now I'm going to keep that on screen while I move over to my other screen and I talk you through the timeline. Now I can see the chat still. I know Trixie's doing a great job modding. Are you the only mod in, Trixie? I've got quite a few mods on this channel actually, because of my old days in my previous life. I'll just move my microphone over here so it catches my voice better. I'm actually using an external mic today. God, Don't normally just use my laptop mic, but I've plugged an external mic in because I'm going to be moving about. Okay. All right then, let's go through this spreadsheet. So I'm sorry I can't put it on screen. I just don't. I'll cock it up. I'll end up doxing somebody. Right, it starts in September 2015. No, we're not going to start there. This spreadsheet starts there. What I'm interested in is this timeline that you see on your screen. The timeline in which Michael Vaughan disappeared. The timeline in which this little boy disappeared. That's what we're talking about. Right? Now, if I felt that the parents were involved, then yeah, let's go into everything, like we've done with Summer Wells, because I can't decide what my number one theory is with Summer Wells, right? I've had umpteen number one theories with Summer Wells, because their timeline is genuinely all over the place, genuinely all over the place. This one couldn't be more different, in my opinion, prefacing everything at the moment with my opinion. So if I thought the parents were involved in Michael's case, yeah, you better believe I'd be in there looking at everything. Now, it could be that a friend of the family, someone known to the family, is involved. And in that case, actually, going through, going backwards and looking at the parents' contacts, yeah, that can be useful. Looking at the babysitter, looking at the contacts of the babysitter, looking at family members, that can be very relevant. So I'm not saying at all whatsoever that starting at September 2015, when Brandy and Tyler both worked at Sundance Saloon bartending, is irrelevant, because it could well be that somebody from Brandy and Tyler's past is involved in this somewhere along the line. So having all of this documented, fine, fantastic, right? But it's just not relevant to what I'm talking about today. So it goes all the way through to, okay, there's a couple of things in this first page. So on page 1, there's actually, let's have a look how many pages there is. 30 pages to this document, this PDF, but some of them are blank pages. Sometimes when it adds a blank page to a document, like for random reasons. But there's well over 20 pages here. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I just want to highlight before we get to this timeline, right? Pointing to the screen when you can't see me. Jesus, what am I like? Okay. So it says it here in page 1, and this is from Twitter Spaces on the 19th of December. So this would have been with Brandy. Sometimes Tyler was at the Twitter Spaces as well. Sometimes he was there, sometimes he wasn't. Hidden True Crime, The Interview Room with Chris McDonough, and Bam Bam Missing and Trafficked. Those are YouTube channels. So they were told, these sources were told, that Monkey left home alone around 5 times in 3 years, but never got further than the end of his road. It's important because later in other public interviews, she said, so talking about Brandy, she said Michael got out alone only 1 time. So there's a dispute between, and this will come up a lot, there's a dispute between, right? And they make a big thing of this. This is why I think they're just so emotionally invested in castigating Brandy, that they cannot look any further. And it's a shame, because there's a lot of work gone into this. However, the quality of it is let down by the bias. And I really don't like to say that, because it's the dates and the times and the sources, all good. But the bias in it made me sick when I read it, quite frankly. Made me sick when I read it. But then I thought, no, maybe that's my bias. Right, let's look at this as a timeline. Right, so we know that Michael got out of his house previously between 1 and 5 times in the last 3 years. right? So at some time in 2020, there's no date to this, Monkey followed his brother Ben. Oh, said his name. I knew I'd say a name. His brother. Jeez. This is why I can't put this on screen. I can't put this on screen. I know that Brandy has said that the kids' names, but I'm not going to, and just delete that. This is why I should never go live. So Monkey followed his older brother to the park. So Cresswell Park, which is the next street immediately north. So Michael's family live on Southwest 9th Street. The street immediately north, Cresswell Park, is on Southwest 8th Street. And it's 0.2 miles. So it's a fifth of a mile from Michael's front door to Cresswell Park to the splash pad. Okay. So Grandpa picked him up at the corner of South Washington Avenue because Michael had followed his brother out. The older sister was babysitting at the time while Brandy went to get groceries. So Brandy was out of the house, but Grandpa was there. The older sister was there, and the brother had decided to go out to the park, and Michael had followed the brother. So the comment to this is important as it could show a pattern for possible neglect when coupled with the statement above and a statement from the neighbour further down in the timeline. How is going doing groceries when Grandpa's in, the older sister's in? How is that neglect? So Michael's followed his brother. So Grandpa's chased him and said, no, you've got to come back. How's that neglect? Tell me, guys, how does that signify neglect? Anyway, that's just an example of what I mean. Potentially good research, absolutely marred by bias. Right, we're going to start now on July 27th, 2021, the day Michael disappeared. So we're going to start with Brandy going to work. Now, I remember telling Chris McDonough this, but the reference here is Twitter Spaces, 19th of December. And if you listen to these Twitter Spaces, my heart bleeds for Brandy in these Twitter Spaces. Have you ever heard them? Like various people have put them on YouTube. My heart bleeds for her because she tried her best to answer as many questions as she could. And some of them were fine. I've got to admit, some of them were fine. But then you just got this undertone. It must depend on who's there, I guess. Undertone. Like they launched on her once because she wouldn't, I don't know if it was bank records or phone records. She wouldn't send them. And they were not happy. I can't remember whether it was bank or phone records. And I felt so sorry for her. And Tyler was there. And they were like, no, I'm not sending you records. No. And these are strangers on the internet. Right? You know, and they're like, oh, we're just trying to help. No, you're not. No, you're not. I'll tell you to fuck off. Sorry for swearing, but I would. She got well more patience than I have. So Brandy left for work between 12 and 12:15. So Grandpa left home to run some errands in the day, get a shave, go to his favourite watering hole. Neither Brandy nor Tyler can confirm a time, so that's significant enough to put in here. I don't know why, because Grandpa is a big boy now, and he can go out as and when he wants to. Why are they going to look at their clock every time Grandpa leaves the house? How would you know when a family member's gone out? Because remember, this is hours before Michael disappeared. So why would they even clock the time? It's just another day. So that's irrelevant. Irrelevant. Okay. So that's Twitter Spaces, 10th of March. Then we've got the next entry, which is around 3 p.m. Grandpa left home as per the board in Fruitland PD Detective Crimes Office. So this is a text message from Brandy. So no, I haven't seen that. That's one piece of research I haven't seen. I haven't seen that. Right? So this is significant to put in its own entry because it says around 3 p.m. So obviously Grandpa's been able to, when he's been interviewed, he's been able to give an approximate time, right, to the police. He said, I probably went out about 3 o'clock, right? Just because Brandy and Tyler didn't remember when they were on Twitter Spaces is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. Irrelevant. But this is important to put in its own entry. It's important because above, Brandy and Tyler don't know what time Grandpa left. No, I bet they don't, because I wouldn't have clocked when Grandpa left either. 3:45, the eldest girl is seen on CCTV walking home from a camp. This is also on the board in the detective's office. But it says that the reference is Twitter Spaces March 22nd. So I don't know how, I don't know. Maybe Brandy talked about it then. Then we've got around 3:50. Tyler jumps out and scares elder sister, thinking it was Michael when supposedly playing hide and seek. Supposedly playing hide and seek. Sister states she did not see Michael when she got home. This is important because Tyler doesn't remember this at all and thought there had to be a camera in the house per audio recordings. No idea, right? Tyler doesn't remember it. Older sister remembers it. Don't know. There's no reference for this to go back and check. It just says Twitter Spaces / audio recordings. So don't know on that one. Can't clarify on that one. Thank you, Debbie, for the 10 Canadian dollars. I'm selective with what I watch. You're on the very short list of creators, all thoroughly researched, unbiased, objective, and respectful. Thank you so much, Deborah. Okay, where were we? 4:34. No, done that. Hold on. No. 4:13. 3:50. Yeah, 3:50. Right, 4:13. Brandy calls from work on a lunch break. So Tyler's put the baby down for a nap. Monkey's in the living room playing Nintendo Switch. Siblings on phones or laptops. Brandy even recites a story of what was said between her and Michael in a Spaces. This is important because if elder sister never saw Michael during this time, Brandy does not actually know what the kids were doing when she called. Brandy was at work. She may not know what the kids were doing the entire time she was at work. Why should she know? Because she's at work. Why should she know what they're doing at all times? She only knows what they were doing, what they said they were doing when she called. So just because the elder sister didn't see Michael when she got home doesn't mean to say that there was anything nefarious happening, because Michael's seen by multiple neighbours 2 hours later. So he hadn't been murdered. You know, he wasn't murdered while the sister was at camp. He wasn't. So it's irrelevant. Right? You know, this sister's a teenage girl, right? Who really paid attention to what the kid brother were doing, right? My sister was 7 years younger than me. Did I care about what my sister was doing? I'd probably walk past her and not even notice, unless I was especially told to watch her, and then I would. But otherwise, I wouldn't. So whatever. Right. So at 4:13, according to Brandy, in her Spaces, Michael was playing Nintendo Switch. So these are from Brandy's call logs. Brandy recites story on a Spaces. Okay. So again, nothing unusual here, nothing to see here. Yes, she's told that story. 4:34, CCTV shows sister coming home from camp. It's important because later in the timeline, you will see Brandy gives a different time for sister being seen on CCTV. Maybe she didn't know or didn't remember exactly what time she was seen on CCTV. Maybe she's just not good at keeping all of these numbers in her head. Why would she? And that's on someone called Krista's timeline per Brandy. No idea. Can't go and check that. That makes no sense, that reference. Okay, so now it starts getting interesting. 4:35 p.m. A white sedan is seen at the splash pad parking lot on CCTV. So this is according to Brandy's audio. So this must have been a private conversation with Brandy, because I didn't know about this. Right. So, she's got a piece of research I didn't have. I didn't have it. So that's at 4:35. And then at 4:48, CCTV shows sister coming home from guard. What? Okay. So Brandy said the CCTV saw the sister coming home at 4:48, when actually she came home a little bit earlier. Oh, whoopee-doo. All right, whatever. So she came home a bit earlier. Right, whatever. Maybe at the time she spoke to whatever person this was, she didn't know. I don't know. Why would you know something like that? Why would you know? So there's a baby party and a baby shower in the neighborhood that day. And that's on Critters YT and also Spaces. Okay, so that might be relevant if it turns out that neighbours were involved or people unusual to the neighbourhood were there because there was an event going on. Otherwise, it's not relevant to us. Okay, so then according to the older sister, she showers and then takes a nap. Okay, but we don't know what time that was, but obviously sometime after 4 when she got in. So then around 4:30, the older brother goes to his room and locks the door to keep Michael out. So had been bugging him to play Minecraft and Roblox. So Michael wanted to play with his brother, but his brother did not want to play with him. So he's locked the door. All right. Okay. So older brother's entitled to go in his room and play on his own. If he doesn't want to play with his kid brother, he doesn't need to play with his kid brother. So the time's around 4:30. Whatever. Right. So that's on Twitter Spaces. No date given though, so can't go and check that. All right. 5:32. So there's a call log. This is strange. There's a call hang up, a 911 call hang up at 5:32. So that's strange. So that's from Payette County call logs. So I didn't know that. That's strange. Is it relevant? Don't know. But that is interesting. So then at 6:14, a white Honda Pilot is seen coming into the neighborhood on CCTV. So you will see from my timeline that the white Honda Pilot is seen on CCTV at 6:47. So that 6:47 is when it's seen going out of the neighborhood. So at 6:14, so I need to add a line up here. I need to make this, because I just put this immediate timeline. This on what you've seen on screen is the immediate timeline. This was when Michael was last seen to when Michael disappeared. That's all that is. But I think knowing when the Honda Pilot, because I knew when the Honda Pilot came in, it was cruising the neighborhood for about half an hour. So actually seeing this, like in my email to Harsh, and I said, I'm not going to read private correspondence from Harsh, But what I said to him was, thanks for that. Thanks for the document. It is thorough, but does not change my mind in any way as to what I believe happened to Michael, i.e. that he was abducted. In fact, it is wholly consistent with the timeline I put together based on law enforcement information and what Brandy has said in various YT and Twitter spaces. Putting it all together in a spreadsheet is good, though. I thought I'd put it solidifies. It actually makes firmer. Seeing it all written up like this, when usually things like this are just in my head, or in random files on my computer, seeing it all together like this, even though I'm not fond of spreadsheets, and I'd have the worst day in the history of the world if I had to put a spreadsheet together like this. I would feel that my entire world was ended, and I have to go and buy 10 donuts and eat them one after another, like to make myself feel a little bit good about having to do it. So I'm not dissing this research whatsoever. If Harsh has put this together, or a group of people have put this together, Harsh is claiming ownership of it. So it's great. It's great to have this. What I don't like is the commentary, because it shows how biased it is. But the dates and just the facts is great to have this. I mean, I know that Jenny Gavel Geeks is doing one like this for Summer Wells. It's a great idea. It is a great idea to keep a document like this. Just because I'm not disciplined enough and organized enough to do it myself, right, doesn't mean to say that I don't know the stuff, or I haven't listened to everything, or I've not got the research, or I've not got copies of things. I just don't have a spreadsheet, right? But it's a good idea. It really is. And seeing all this together really solidifies Michael was abducted. Michael was abducted. And I can understand why Fruitland PD are desperate to find this Honda Pilot, because it's seen on CCTV at 6:14 p.m. entering the neighborhood, and then it's seen at 6:47 leaving the neighborhood. Now, we know Michael was there for some of that time because it was seen by several neighbors. And then the Honda Pilot leaves. So is 6:47 the time that Michael was abducted? We can only ask that question, because it might, the Honda Pilot might be irrelevant. They might find the Honda Pilot and have been able to clear the driver. But it's just very, very strange. Very strange. Okay, so 6:15, there's a jogger on CCTV. Brandy states he's cleared by law enforcement. So there were two guys who were seen. One of them was cleared, one of them wasn't. So the jogger's cleared. All right. So both of these are from the white Honda Pilot that Brandy said was seen, is from an audio call with Brandy, but I knew she said it somewhere else before. Jogger seen on CCTV. We knew the police had told us this, that there was two people they wanted to, because initially in the earlier presses, they wanted to clear the blue Dodge Avenger, which they've now cleared, the white Honda Pilot that's still outstanding, and two people seen around the park area within the time frame. So we know now the jogger's been cleared, and there's an unidentified man that Fruitland PD released the photo of, the CCTV imagery of, at the presser on the 22nd of July. So we know he's not been cleared as of the 22nd of July. Or probably as of the other day, because I'm sure that if they had managed to clear anything else, they would have said. Exactly, Anna. Michael's neighbourhood is off the main highway, not an area you drive through to get somewhere. You would not. It's just a little estate, like we call them estates. Do you call them subdivisions? I don't know. Yeah, it's not a thoroughfare, is it? At all. Doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't go anywhere. But when I've done this, we'll get the map up. Do a bit of map time. We always got to do a bit of map time. Come on, guys. Got to do a bit of map time. All right. So 6:20. Brandy states on critters on the farm in the time frame. Okay. Brandy states when was when was Brandy on critters YT? Because I do remember watching it. I need to go back and find it. Because Brandy said on critters on the farm that the time frame is now 6:20 to 7:30. Assume this means the last time she ever saw Michael in the house was prior to 6:20. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what Brandy's words were, but I know that there was definitely never a mention. If Brandy has said this time and she's made a mistake, because 7:30 was never, like, we know that 7:30 was way too late because the 911 call had been made by then. We know Michael had gone missing way before 7:30. So if Brandy actually said that, then she's made a mistake. She's simply made a mistake. But Brandy's not allowed to make mistakes, you see. Like, it makes me laugh because she makes a mistake. She says 1 minute, like she's dissed in this document for getting things wrong by 1 minute. That's just how biased it is. Okay, so 6:20 to 6:25, Michael is seen by Tyler. Question mark where? This conflicts with timestamp Brandy gives us in spaces. Well, I don't think it does, because Brandy wasn't there anyway. So why all this reliance on Brandy? Like, the vast majority of this document is from Brandy. You've got to remember, Brandy wasn't there. So if Brandy gets times wrong, she wasn't there, right? Loads of people have criticized me when I've talked about Michael's case. They've criticized me because, oh, that came from Brandy. That came from Brandy. But all of this timeline that I'm going to call them weasels are using are from Brandy, because it's all we've got. It's all we've got, because Brandy has been kind enough to talk to people who wanted to hear. And she's been betrayed. She's been betrayed by people who she thought were her friends, who started releasing phone calls that she thought were private. Honestly. So anyway, according to Brandy, Michael sees Tyler. Michael was last seen by Tyler between 6:20 and 6:25. And that's audio by Brandy. Okay, so man seen on CCTV walking up Southwest 8th Street into Cresswell Park and going behind the lower drainage ditch, I assume that must say. And that is from a news report published on 8th of August 2021. So that's the man that's still not been cleared. That was around 6:30. So we need to add this on. I do need to add a little bit more on this timeline here. I need to put 6:14 and 6:30 on, just to give it a nice round figure. Right, nice round kind of hour. It'll give a full hour. Okay. So yeah, we know that the news has said that. So that's not from Brandy. That's in the news. So where the news got it from? Presumably the news has got it from law enforcement. So then Brandy says that there was an unidentified grey sedan that came into the neighbourhood. Okay. and that's from Brandy's audio, CCTV per Fruitland PD. But there's no times on these things. So I can't go and check these because these are obviously private conversations. So 6:30, last time Tyler saw Monkey per Brandy. This conflicts with the 6:20 timestamp above. Well, it's because she's got a time wrong. She's got a time wrong. Simple as. Because when she said to Critters that the time frame is 6:20 to 7:30, that had to be wrong. It had to be wrong because we know that the 911 call was 6:21. So we know she's got some times wrong. So what? She's got some times wrong. She's got some times wrong. But what we heard from Tyler is that he was away for about 15 minutes. That's what we've heard from Tyler. 15 minutes. And no, he didn't leave the property. He went changing Boogie's diaper, the little girl, went changing her diaper, and then he ordered pizza. And he ordered pizza at 6:40. Right, we know that. This is what Tyler tells us. So who should we believe? Should we believe Tyler? Or should we believe Brandy on a YouTube channel who has clearly, in one instance, got the time wrong? She's got the time wrong. Simple as that. All right? So we're going to say around 6:30. Now, what law enforcement say is that he was last seen around 6:30. Now, we know he was seen slightly after that by some neighbours, but he was last seen at home by his dad around 6:30. Right? Thank you for saying that, Celia. So sorry you have to go through this. Exactly. It's awful. Awful. Awful the way that they've done this. I mean, this is good. It's useful information to have this in a spreadsheet with the times. But just the bias made me feel sick. And that's not because... Shut up, Cassie. That's not because I want the parents to be innocent. That's not my emotional bias. That's because I'm looking at the data. I'm looking at the timeline. I'm looking specifically at the timeline that law enforcement have given us. And that is, Michael went missing between 6:40 and 7 p.m. That's the timeline that law enforcement have given us. But weirdly, that is not included in this research. That presser is not included in this research. Why? Why? If this research is so extensive and has got such great value, why is the most important piece of information given to us by law enforcement not in this document? Why? Because it does not fit the narrative that this document is trying to achieve. That's why. Dear me. Dear me. All right. So 6:30. Tyler checks on baby and changes diaper. Where is Monkey? It says. So Tyler has told us in the interview that they did with the news that you saw just before, Michael was playing his Nintendo Switch, but this is not included in this document. That presser from July 22nd, not in this document. So we don't have the 6:40 to 7 p.m. timeline from law enforcement. We don't have Tyler's interview with the news, which was done a few days before the year mark as well. We don't have that in. So those are the two most important pieces of information, and they're not in this extensive research document. Why? Why not? Maybe they just haven't remembered to update it. But why not? If this is meant to be this blazing, all singing, all dancing document that finds Monkey. Come on. You've done this out of bias. You've done this to prove to yourself that in some way the parents are involved. And look at all this evidence we've got. No, you have nothing. You have nothing that will help find Monkey, because we know what the basic timeline is. So it's crazy. It's crazy. We know what law enforcement have told us. We know the timeline from law enforcement. So why? Why is all this? Why? But we'll carry on. Because we're going to go to 721, and then we're going to stop. I thought I was obsessed with the Summer Wells case, but this is something else. This. All right. So, sometime before 6:36, Tyler asks older sister to watch Boogie in the living room while he takes a smoke break and order pizza in the shop. So the shop is the structure behind the house. So, reminder, sister never sees Michael since she arrived after camp. No, that's not what she said. She said she didn't see her when she got in. She didn't see Michael when she got in. Not that she didn't see him at all. So, I don't know about that. So, question. Did Tyler see Monkey during his smoke break out back when he went to the shop? If not, why didn't he look for him instead of smoking and ordering pizza? Because he didn't know he was missing at that time. He ordered pizza. He said himself on the news that he ordered pizza whilst he was in the back room. He changed the diaper, then he ordered pizza. And then presumably went for a smoke, realised Michael wasn't there. How difficult is this to understand? Then she says Tyler quit smoking a year ago. Then she says the shop smells like pot later in the timeline. I don't care if it does or not, right? I really don't care if it does or not. Okay, so 6:36, sister gets a call from her boyfriend to tell her they are on their way. She goes to the shop to tell Tyler she's leaving. At this point, still nobody noticed Michael was missing and nobody is looking for Michael, ? So that last entry, 6:36, is actually a call with the sister, with a minor child. The sister is a minor child. They are using phone calls from a minor child to suit their own narrative. Shocking. 6:37. Okay, so this is where my timeline begins, right? 6:37. Monkey approaches a neighbour and asks to play. Because remember, I've got these times from Brandy and Tyler on Twitter Spaces, on YouTube, right? It's only the things in red that we've got from law enforcement. So they're using the same sources that I've used, right? I've just made my graphic a lot simpler than this document. So Monkey approaches neighbour and asks to play. Neighbour, who was leaving for grocery store, walked Monkey around the corner and watched him walk back to his driveway. Brandy leads the group to believe it was this neighbour who saw him. In reality, it was her husband that saw him. Wow! Oh my word! Brandy's being so deceptive because she led them to believe it was the woman when really it wasn't. It was the husband. Wow! See change of time as well to 6:42 further down the timeline. Okay, so all right, we'll say that this neighbour saw him between 6:37 and 6:42. We also know within this time frame, sort of between 6:37 to 6:45, roughly approximately, he was seen by several neighbours. Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, I feel like I want to die. I was like, I want to die. I'm joking, guys. Don't send the cops. 6:40. Tyler orders Domino's Pizza per Brandy and Tyler on Twitter Spaces. So that's from the 19th of December. So I'm glad that in some of this document they've got an actual date. Some of it they don't, which is annoying because it's harder to go back and check if you don't put the date in. I'd have liked the URL as well. That would have been helpful. I think Jenny from Gavel Geeks, isn't she in her database? I mean, I haven't seen it, but isn't she putting all the URLs in and everything as well? Dates, URLs and that. If anybody's here from Jenny's group, then let me know. Because it would be useful if Jenny isn't putting URLs in to her spreadsheet for summer. It would be useful too, I think, if she can. Because then if she does share the database, I know it's like a work in progress, but if she does share it eventually, then we're not going to be in a situation where we don't know where to go to find this evidence. Because I know this is right. This is what has been said in Twitter Spaces. I know because I've heard it all. I've seen it. I've heard it all. I know because I haven't done this. Dear me. Dear me. All right. So, Tyler orders pizza. So, now we've got this massive confusion. This is ridiculous. Brandy says pizza was ordered via phone, Twitter Spaces. So, she said it was ordered by phone on Twitter Spaces. Later, in an audio recording, she stated the pizza was ordered online because it's not in Tyler's call log. What if it was ordered via an app on Tyler's phone? Because I've got Deliveroo on my phone. I could order a takeout right now from my phone, but it wouldn't come up as a call because it would be on Deliveroo. I don't know. I don't care. We know the receipt is 6:40. Right. And at that point, Tyler realizes Michael's missing around that point. We know that. Oh, dear me. Dear me. So 6:40, sister goes out. And then an unknown times, Tyler's sister says something. How would Tyler's sister know? She wasn't there, so that's irrelevant. 6:42, so this is the time change from 6:37 to 6:42. Monkey approached by neighbour, asked to play. Neighbour who was leaving for the grocery store. So it could be 6:37, could be 6:42. There's a 5-minute difference. Oh my God, it must mean they murdered Michael. Dear me. Dear me. I mean, if Michael was seen at 6:42 by the neighbour who was going shopping, it means the timeline's even tighter. It means the timeline's even tighter by 5 minutes. It's 5 minutes less for somebody in the family to murder Michael. Come on, guys. Come on. Right, you guys, anybody who has put this piece of research together, great. But the commentary is awful. The interpretation of the facts is awful. Never go into law enforcement, never go into research of any kind. Never. Right? In my previous life as a psychologist, some of you know this, some of you don't. I was a researcher. Right? Got my PhD 20 years ago. November 2002, I got my PhD. Right? And for 4 years before that, I was researching for my PhD. I've got a long research career. So this is why I know that when you get facts, right, you have to be very careful how you interpret them. Because Facts are facts, but the story that you put around it, the way you write up your research, the way you write up, right? I've got 60 academic papers, guys. Go and look them up. If you don't believe me, go and look them up. I've got a ResearchGate profile. I've got a Google Scholar profile. My real name's Michelle Lowe, Lowe. Go and look it up. I've got 60 academic papers, right? I don't anymore. So if you try to dox me at my workplace, which has been done before, I don't work there anymore, guys. So you can try. I don't work there. Simple as that. Whatever. I don't work there. It's been done before to me by trolls. You can do what you like. Do your worst. I don't work there anymore. Anyway. Yeah. You do a study. You do some statistics on that study. And then you write up your findings. And how you put that story together, the way that those statistics can be interpreted, have to be interpreted without bias. Because you can spin a story. You can, you know the saying, lies, damn lies, and statistics? Well, it's absolutely true. That's why I always say, when you have a piece of information, and you have an opinion on it, think about all the reasons why it could be something else than what you believe. Look at every possible angle. And these guys have not. They've already made up their minds that something other than an abduction has occurred. When the facts are staring them in the face, someone has typed this up, has spent hours and hours typing this up. And the facts have been staring them in the face the whole time. Okay, so back to 642. Monkey approached neighbour, asked to play with neighbour. Neighbour who was leaving for grocery store. Walked Michael around the corner, watched him walk to his driveway. Okay, so it was the husband, not the wife. Verified by Walmart footage, question mark. Does it matter whether that piece of information was verified by Walmart? You're not a law enforcement officer. You're not. I'm sure if law enforcement wanted to go and check out the neighbours, thinking they'd done something to Monkey, they'd go and check out the Walmart footage. Oh, my word. I've got a headache coming on, I can tell you. Later in the timeline, Brandy states, so a detective stated this was likely Michael's last stop. Vice first in the list of houses. Also aligns with the report. Okay, so that could be the last stop. So I've got this Michael seen by 5 neighbours. I'm not sure whether it's 4, 5, several. I'm going to change that to several neighbours, right? That's why I've got it in blue. It's a reminder to myself. So it could be between 6:37 and 6:42, and that was his last stop. But there's a very short window of time where he's seen by several people. The important thing here is not specific times, like 6:37 and 30 seconds. You know, the husband, not the wife, saw Michael. It's not that, right? It's that people saw him. Several people independent of the family saw Michael, and he was alive and well and was looking for someone to play with. That's all. And it's a very sorry world that we live in, that a little boy cannot go out in front of his house on a very quiet street to look for someone to play with. I used to go out on my street at age 5, right? I know that was a long time ago. But kids, it's the fact that Michael got out of his house. Yes, I'm sure that Tyler regrets that and will regret it till the day he dies, that door wasn't locked. I would. I absolutely would. I would regret that to my dying day. However, the fact that a little boy cannot go out in front of his house, it's a sorry world we live in. And the person to blame for this is the abductor. Let's put the blame where it's truly needed. And that is with the abductor, because this timeline screams abduction to me. Screams it. Okay. Dear me. So there's a neighbour about 6:43 thereabouts on this timeline. Neighbour directly across from Michael's house sees him heading east, loses a flip-flop, claims time frame was around the second puzzle of WOF, Wheel of Fortune, I think that'll be, and that starts at 6:30 in Fruitland. So it's going to be sometime between 6:30, well, second puzzle, so 6:40, 6:43, right, whatever. Right, about 6:40, Michael's seen by another neighbour. Okay, 6:43. Tyler has started looking for Michael at this point, right? This is why I've got this. Tyler starts looking in the house around 6:45-ish, 6:40, 6:45-ish. So by 6:43, according to this timeline, right, and that was an audio recording from Brandy, Tyler checks the backyard for Michael. This makes no sense if he was outside smoking and ordering a pizza in the shop. That was out back. Why would he need to be out back looking for Michael? Because he was in the house when he ordered pizza. But you've not got that in because you've not updated your research. You've not got that in. 6:44, Michael approaches another neighbour. So yet another. So we're definitely up to three different neighbours now. Well, 4. Because there's 2 neighbours. There's 2 neighbours from one household who saw him, the shoppers, right? Then we've got the other one who saw him lose his flip-flop and put his flip-flop back on. Now we've got the next door neighbour. Asked to play, she told him the kids weren't home. He then asked if he could play with the dogs, and she told him to go and ask his mom. She watched him walk round the corner fence back to his yard. Oh, my word. Reading this, I know this, and I just feel so. I bet these neighbours feel awful. I mean, I think I've told you the story in a previous stream that I did on Michael that I've lived in this house here for 10 years now. And the first summer I was here, I moved in July. So it's the middle of summer. It was a hot summer and I had my front door open. And it was before I had my fencing out the front. So my fronting was just open. And I was in the kitchen. So I've got like 2 rooms downstairs. I've got a living room, kitchen, separate kitchen area, right? I was in the kitchen, probably like, I don't know, making a brew or I don't know. And the TV was on, and I walked back in the living room, and there was a little boy sat on my sofa watching TV. And I was like, oh my, where's he come from? Like, I was suddenly adopted a child. He looked about maybe 3 years old. And I was like, hello, what's your name? And just as I was speaking to him, his dad, he was running. His dad was running, like ran into my house, like just literally ran into my house and like just took this massive sigh of relief. Like, oh my God, he said, you know, and I said, it's all right. He's only been here a minute. I said, he's all right. He's fine. He's fine. I didn't know whose kid he was. And he was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I said, it's fine. I would have kept him till I found out whose kid he was. I said, he's fine. He's only been here a minute or 2. He said, I know. He said, I've just come in from work. And if my gate doesn't click, like it's got like a catch on it. If the gate doesn't click, like it doesn't shut the gate properly. So he'd gone in the house. And unbeknownst to him, as he went in the house, the little boy must have legged it from round the back and ran to the front. The gate's been able to be opened because it didn't click. And for whatever reason, because he didn't know me, he'd never seen me before. I was brand new to the neighbourhood. He'd never seen me before. He must have just heard the TV on And with the front door being open, he's come in my house and sat down. So obviously, with my door being open, the guy who I now know his name of, but didn't know him then, he's come to me first because the door's open. So the first thing he's probably thought, he's probably ran up and down, because I live in there like a cul-de-sac. So he can't, he can see to the road from the cul-de-sacs, like very rural. You can see to the road. He's not been able to see him. So it's like, oh my God, I'll go and check that this neighbour who's got the door open hasn't seen him. She might have seen him. She might have heard him. And it was literally a minute. He said, I've just got in from work and got in the house and like said, where is such a thing? And Mum said, oh, he's in the back. So they've gone in the back. You're probably saying hello to him or something. And he wasn't there. So they've panicked, absolutely panicked. That's so quick. That's how quick a kid can disappear. That is how quick a kid can disappear. So if something had happened, if that little boy had run out and instead of coming into my house, run out on the road and got run over, can you imagine how that dad would have felt? Because there was no neglect, there was no blame. It's just the gate didn't click, so he could get out. And that boy is he's a teenager now, right? So, yeah. But he used to get out. He used to elope. They ended up like they were just at the end of the tether. He was an eloper. He would get out. But honestly, Jesus, where was I? All right. So Tyler's looking for Michael now. Monkeys approached another neighbour at 6:44 who saw him going round the corner fence, and then he's just gone. So there's an update in February 2022. Brandy says Monkey was caught on camera at a certain place. I'm not going to say the street, the house number, at 6:45. But we are not telling anyone that. But it's not in red, so I can say this. Harsh has only said there's stuff in red that I can't say. So he was apparently seen at 6:45. So at 6:47, I need to move my blue arrow there. 6:47. Michael Easton stops at the house with the in-ground trampoline and swing set. Brandy states that she didn't know why he went there because he had never played there before. Probably because he knew there was a trampoline, I would imagine. There was no one home to answer the door when Monkey knocked. Later, when Brandy walked the streets recording, she never mentioned this house and never turned the camera in the direction of that house. Why did she intentionally skip this house? Oh, someone shoot me now. And this is on Twitter Spaces, 18th of December. And then Brandy recording the house, walking Monkey's path. Recording houses, walking Monkey's path. So what we're saying is that between 6:37 and 6:47, there's a 10-minute window, approximately 8 to 10 minutes, where Michael was seen by several neighbours. Then at 6:47, the white Honda Pilot was seen leaving the neighbourhood on 8th Street via CCTV. The CCTV owner said no footage provided to public of the Honda coming into the subdivision and no clear plate image. This vehicle has been identified by law enforcement. It has not. You're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. This is the one that has not been identified by law enforcement. They told us on the 22nd of July. This is still outstanding. You are wrong. You've got that wrong. It's fine. I'm wrong all the time, right? It's fine. You can just correct it. Listen to my stream. Just correct it. I don't know. And that's directly from Fruitland PD, except it isn't correct because it's not been identified, but you have not updated since March, 6:48. Monkey passes house with ring camera. However, Brandy walks the streets recording herself and states the ring camera is pointed at the driveway, vice versa, blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Okay, 6:48, something to do with the elder sister, doesn't matter. 6:50. So 6:50. Okay, hold on. 6:50, monkey approaches neighbor and asks to play. So I don't know about that time, because if that time's correct and monkey's still there at 6:50, then it's not the Honda Pilot. But the police still want the Honda Pilot. The police still want to know the Honda Pilot, right? Know who the Honda Pilot belongs to. And just because they're seen on CCTV leaving the neighborhood doesn't mean they actually leave the neighborhood, does it? Okay, so monkey approaches neighbor, asked to play. Neighbor has never seen monkey before, but assumes it was the next door neighbor's grandson. Neighbor told him the grandkids weren't there to play with. So that's Twitter Spaces, 19th of December. And that's a resident post on TCS. I don't know what TCS is. Okay. And then monkey reverses course and heads back west towards another street. Seen by neighbor across the street. Brandy says he's the older man who can't stand up straight and told dad, so that's grandpa, he saw Michael heading back west towards his home. So there's tons of neighbors that saw him. Tons of neighbors that saw him. Loads of them. I've got 5. There might have even been more. So when he got out, right, he was wandering the neighborhood for at least 10 minutes. At least 10 minutes. Now, if those later times are correct and that Honda Pilot really has gone, then it's not the Honda Pilot by process of elimination. However, I'm not going to say it's not the Honda Pilot until law enforcement say it's not the Honda Pilot. Law enforcement still have it. We want to know this. We want to know where this Honda Pilot is. We want to know this Honda Pilot driver. So, I don't know. But the fact that they released the photo of that man, that alarms me because that's still outstanding. Okay, so then there's according to Brandy, there's some other vehicles that are seen. 650. So we've not heard this from law enforcement. So 651. So it just says the reference is just Brandy. So I don't know whether this is Brandy private phone call. It must be because I don't know these 2 vehicles. Seen entering the neighborhood, a black BMW. Tag sent to law enforcement. Note there's an RSO called Starkey who drives a black BMW who lives in the subdivision. So let's look him up, shall we? I'm sure that the police, if the police have not done anything with Starkey, I think by now that he's got an alibi. And I'm saying his name because he's an RSO, according to this documentation anyway. And then also at 6:55, there's an unidentified grey sedan exiting the neighbourhood. So Fruitland PD never mention any other vehicles they can't identify. So that's just from Brandy. So don't know. And then we've got the blue Dodge Avenger in at 6:57, which they correctly say has been identified by law enforcement. Okay, so that's fine. So at the moment, law enforcement are only wanting to know the whereabouts of the Honda Pilot and the man seen walking on Southwest 8th. That's what law enforcement are saying. I bet they are Sack and Fox, sorry. Don't you know those neighbours feel sick and they didn't walk him back to his house? I bet they do. I bet they do. Like I'd have felt, like if I'd have got that little boy off my couch and said, go home, go home. Like if I knew where he lived, I'd have taken him to his home. I'd have taken him to his house. I would have watched him walk in his house. That's just me, right? But I didn't know who he was, so I couldn't. But I would not have said, go, you don't live here, go away. And then, God forbid, what if something had happened to him, like he got run over, he got abducted? I would have never forgiven myself, never. But that doesn't mean to say we can blame them, because we can all be wise in the benefit of hindsight. Right, when my son was killed at age 21, 3 people saw him before he was actually run over by the guy that actually ran over him. Right, it's a long story, but 3 people saw him. I don't blame those people. Don't blame them. One of them stopped and spoke to him. A couple were driving by and they didn't stop because they thought it was a setup, because there had been a spate of people pretending to be ill. And then when you stop your car, they jump in and either rob you or whatever, or rob your car. But what they did do was they called the cops. But by the time the cops had arrived, a dangerous driver had killed him. But I don't blame those 3 people. I do not blame them, because we're all wise in the benefit of hindsight. And I can't, I can't say anything more than that. I can't say what I would have done. I probably wouldn't have stopped on a quiet country lane in the middle of the night. I probably wouldn't have. I might have stopped a little way away and called the cops. I don't know what I would have done, honestly. But we're all wise in the benefit of hindsight. Like, I'm sure Tyler wishes he'd locked the door. I'm sure the neighbours wish they'd have walked Michael right back to his house, but they didn't. It doesn't mean to say that Tyler murdered Michael or one of the neighbours murdered Michael, because this timeline is obvious. Okay, so 7:01. Tyler supposedly seen on CCTV looking for Michael in the van. Okay. But it's only supposedly. Right? So he's now at the splash pad. Supposedly searching the splash pad. Well, we know he left about 7-ish and he drove to the splash pad because Michael liked the splash pad. And then someone notified Brandy at work. So 7:05, Tyler calls Brandy on her cell phone to tell her he can't find Michael. She told him to search under the bed against the wall, blah, blah, blah. This conflicts with what he said previously on her Spaces. He said he called her getting into the car to go and look for him. Tyler said he drove directly to the splash pad. Also, Brandy corrected the time. Wait for this, guys. Brandy corrected the time from 7:04 to 7:05. Oh my word. Oh my word. So Tyler then goes back to the house to check the bed and the wall. Still on the phone to Brandy. He's trying his best. He's panicking. He's told us he can't remember what the hell he did. He's like, come on, guys. He's panicking. So Brandy's just said in chat, Brandy's in chat, she just said 7:01, Tyler seen at splash pad. There we go. My word. My word. This is insane. This is insane. Right. So, okay. So 7:10, Tyler called 911 according to Brandy on Twitter Spaces in December. He was asked in Spaces if he was on the phone, if he was the one to call 911, and he said yes. We now know this is a false statement. The 911 call was not in Tyler's call logs and was not made at 7:10. Well, we now know it was made at 7:21, right? We know law enforcement have told us it was made at 7:21. But I'm going to ask you a question, right? Why might the call not have been in Tyler's call logs? Right? So you can use your phone if you want to. So unless you have a phone statement, unless you actually have a phone statement, like from your phone account, right, and you're using your phone, right? I can find in my, now I've got an iPhone, I've got an iPhone 12. So I can get my recent calls down to, hold on, 18th of May. And then it's like I never made a call. Now, I don't make that many calls or receive that many calls, to be honest. So June, July, August, just over 3 months. I can go back in my recent calls just over 3 months. But if you make a lot of calls or receive a lot of calls, I would imagine that you would, your recent calls, you're not going to be able to go back very far at all. So what about you guys? Right. So if you're using your phone as your call log, right, unless you've got a, you know, you've actually looked up every single call, like, because I don't know. I'm assuming I'd have to go to the website of my phone provider, log in to my account. I don't know the password, but I'd have to log in and then look at all my calls and then be able to go back through all my calls. Okay. So what other options might there be? Use someone else's phone, or what if he didn't call 911? What if someone else did? What if Tyler was panicking so much someone else called? Does it matter? Does it matter? Why are these dogs barking? Shut up. And then, yeah, Fern, if it's from the house phone, then you don't have a call log, do you? You'd have to actually look at your phone bill. So, but anyway, we know it's 7:21, so we can argue that till the cows come home. We know it was 7:21. That's what law enforcement tells us. So 7:13, pizza driver passes CCTV, phone pings at 7:13. So we know that the pizza driver has been looked at and cleared. And then Grandpa arrives home right before her. So remember, Grandpa's been out. He's been to his favourite watering hole, went and had a shave and been out. He's retired. He can do what he wants, right? Oh, God. And then we have this long-running commentary. There we go. Brandy says in chat, you can quote this, guys. Brandy says, I'm going to screenshot that so that the weaselly people, right. Tyler called 911. I know he did. But we've got to consider all the options. We've got to consider all the options for these people, right? These people, right? Now we've got this long-winded, an entire paragraph. I'm going to stop in a minute, guys. I'm going to stop when we get to 7:21. But this is hilarious. I mean, it's so sad that they've done this. Right, so 7:15, per Brandy, pizza arrives. So this is Twitter Spaces, Purple Nights, and TCS Group. So no dates on this at all. No dates on this. No dates on this. Oh, they actually got a phone log screenshot of Brandy hanging up with Tyler to call the elder sister and Tyler to call 911. So they did know. They did know. Right. Okay, pizza, Domino's Pizza. I might have to order myself a Domino's Pizza after this. Sorry, I'm laughing. I'm sorry. It's just so annoying that this is really good that someone's done this, but this commentary is just horrible, horribly biased. Receipt, right? Pizza arrived. Domino's. Receipt refusal from family. Sat on counter for 4 days after neighbour brought it in and set it on the counter. Tyler corrected Brandy and said elder brother brought it in. Tyler's sister on Facebook argues over the pizza being in the fridge. She put it there that night. Sorry, guys, come on. How is this relevant? Why is this in a timeline of facts? Who cares what happened to the pizza? A little boy, this boy here has gone missing. Everyone's around them's panicking. The whole world's fallen apart. How would anybody really remember what happened to the Domino's pizza? Come on now. Come on now. Kids had ate some. Per Brandy later in Purple Nights. States pizza sat on counter for 2 days. Pizza delivered at the same time Brandy and Tyler hang up. How did Brandy not know this and say the neighbour got the pizza and brought it into the house? I do not care. I do not care. Can you imagine if you rang law enforcement and said, I've got some information for you? They didn't know what happened to the pizza. Can you imagine that? Oh, dear. I'm going to stop. All right. So, yeah, we've got actual 911 call for service, missing persons at 7:21. And then it goes on and on and on and on all the way through the night. Now, something I do want to mention, because this has come up a number of times, is that Harsh played a recording on his YouTube, and there was no commentary with it at all. It was just a recording of kids, like, I don't know, saying that a kid was missing or something. And it's in here. So it's the 28th of July after midnight. So older brother walking down highway with female friend in dark and states on TikTok video, we lost a kid missing since 5. And then in brackets, who lets their 12-year-old walk around all night looking for his brother without supervision the same night your child goes missing? So firstly, where is this TikTok video? Because it says TikTok video and then the name of the child. So I tried to find this video on TikTok. I went to the name of the child to see whether he had an account. The TikTok video, I couldn't find it. I looked at every name similar to this name. I couldn't find it. So TikTok, because if we find the TikTok video, it'll tell us when it was posted. Doesn't tell you the time it was posted. You have to go into the metadata, but I know how to do that. So it would tell me the date and time it was posted, but it wouldn't tell me the date and time it was taken. So if that was posted straight away, right, fair enough. But if it was posted days later, now, because I can't find this TikTok, it doesn't appear to be there, and there's no information about when this TikTok video was in this piece of research here, this groundbreaking piece of research. I can't verify whether that is actually anyone connected. That could be any kid making any video and posting it on TikTok, but yet they've got this in their timeline and people are using this as evidence. I don't know what to tell you. But anyway, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on, all the way through August. On and on and on and on. There's some red in this, so I'm not going to go through all this. Okay, some red, some red. Oh, some blue appears. I mean, all of this stuff is it's just now saying YouTube, Brandy on Zavgirl, Fruitland PD Facebook page, YouTube, Missing Lost in Traffic, so that's Bam Bam, Ellie report, audio by Brandy. So all of these things, apart from audio by Brandy, the ones that have not been rudely released, are available in the public domain. Now, I don't know why there's no dates. As you go down the spreadsheet, there's no dates on any of these. There's no times on any of these. So, you know, you can say, right, okay, that was the 19th of August, Fruitland PDFP, but so presumably that was 19th of August. But when it just says YouTube, Missing, Lost and Trafficked, how do we know when that was? You can scroll right the way back up, like a million pages back up, and find whether it's on. But I don't know. There should be URLs on these. And then a lot of this later stuff, it just says Brandy Neal screenshots, Brandy Neal video, audio recording, Brandy Neal. You know, all about, you know, threatening to shoot the police station up, that kind of stuff, you know, all of that stuff that people are using as some kind of evidence, when actually the evidence is this. The evidence boils down to this, that's been on your screen for the last hour and I don't know how long. That's what it boils down to. Nothing else matters. That's what it boils down to. So then it's got press release updates in here. So all this is good. This is good. It's useful to have this. Right, it's great. Just needs to be updated when there's an actual new press release or a new press conference or a new interview. And it needs to be incorporated into the timeline because it hasn't been updated since March. So there you go. Right. So that's that. All right, guys. I have been paying some attention to the chat, but not very much, I'm afraid. It's completely dark in here now. So I will turn my camera off because it just looks scary. It just looks scary now. Just be completely black. So what do you make of all this? Trixie, thanks for staying with me because I think you're the only mod in. And I'm hoping there hasn't been too much stupidness. Hoping there hasn't been too much silliness. Okay. Okay, fair enough, Lana. Seen the TikTok, it was them and it isn't evidence. Of course it's not evidence. Right, two kids walking along, saying he's been missing since 5. Come on, guys. These are kids. Right? What are they going to do? Are they going to dramatize a little bit? You know, oh, my little brother's been missing. He's been missing all day. You know, they dramatize, don't they? Is there evidence? Would that little boy be called in a court of law? Would that little boy's TikTok be played in a court of law? Exactly, the babies, exactly. No. So would you rather take a TikTok video that has now been confirmed as them, as big brother, Michael's big brother? So would you rather listen to a TikTok video from a kid who's given, you know, we're looking for a missing kid, he's been missing since 5, or would you listen to law enforcement? Who would you rather listen to? A kid who's just making a TikTok video, or the police chief of Fruitland PD, who isn't just, you know, the police chief of Fruitland PD standing up there. No, he's got representatives from Idaho State Police. He's got representatives from a whole range of agencies who are standing with him. Every single conference, a pile of guys and girls stand with him, backing him up. Would you rather have all them tell you what the timeline is, or a kid making a TikTok video? Which would you prefer? Exactly. How do we know it was unsupervised? We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Oh dear. I need to go and have a lie down now. I'm kind of glad it's dark in here. Have you found this useful though? I mean, at least I found it useful to go through this and talk for 2 hours and 10 minutes. I mean, when I got this from Harsh, I looked at it and I read it, and thought, I feel a bit sick at some of the. I mean, I've only read you a small fraction. I feel a bit sick. However, there's a very positive angle to it, that all those dates, you know, can be verified. I knew, like, the dates from the 27th of July seem like all the Twitter space. I've seen all of the videos and what Brandy's been Brandy's been interviewed. I can't even speak. Sorry, guys. When Brandy's been interviewed, when Tyler's been interviewed, I've seen all of that. I've heard all of that. Right. But I can't get my head around why people want to create whole paragraphs about a pizza, about what happened to the pizza, and the fact that a time was changed from 7:04 to 7:05. I can't, guys. I can't do it anymore. I can't. It's just so ridiculous. So it's a good effort. I'll give it. Let me grade it. I'll give it a C plus. Give it a C. Give it a 55%. Simply because the effort's there. The amount of work that's gone into it is there. There's a lot of details missing because it's not been updated since March. The most important details are missing, which is law enforcement's own timeline is missing. And there's a lot of dates missing from it. You know, it just says Spaces or YouTube, or you can't hone it in, you know, which interview. So, yeah, some of them have it on. Some of them have it on. So, yep, you can go and find that. But, yeah. I give it a C. I'll give it a C plus, so a 55. Like when I used to grade uni work, we didn't do it on like C, B, A. We did it on a percentage. So between 50 and 59 is like a 2-2. So that's an average, like a C. So C plus, 55. I'm going to give it a 55%. Good effort, but must try harder. It's working on the details. So if Harsh Reality ever sees this, I did set it to subscribers only because it would keep out some of the trolls, and it would, I think I put it to 2 hours. You had to be subscribed for 2 hours before you could comment. And I only did that because it will keep some people out who otherwise would have caused problems. So hopefully it hasn't been too bad in chat. I have been watching a little bit. Do the family know more to the timeline or exclusive info? Well, I'm sure there's information that they might, I don't know, they might know that they're not released. I'd imagine law enforcement knows a lot that they've not released. But, you know, if we just look at this timeline, you know, this is just the time that Michael was out and about doing his walkabout. You know, and the between that time and the 911 call, it's really tight. It's really tight. Someone had to take him and get him out of there before 7:21. Someone had to. And I would imagine it's somewhere in this timeline. I don't know whether you can see my mouse. No, I don't think you're going to be able to. You can't see my mouse. So the 647 where the Honda Pilot scene, if it's not the Honda Pilot, if the Honda Pilot is cleared and it's someone else completely, I think it's around that time. So before 7. It has to be before 7. You know, or else probably Tyler would have seen him. Tyler was at the splash pad at 7:01. Tyler would have seen him. Tyler was driving around. Like what we say like around here, like a blue horse fly. You see, it's not a matter of putting him back in his place. It's not. This wasn't a stream. I didn't spend it's going to be like 2.5 hours by the time I got off here. I didn't spend this time to bash Harsh at all. I don't have anything against him. I don't. It's inconsequential to me, right? I don't have anything against him. It's not a bash Harsh session at all. But what it is just saying this is most of what's in that timeline, apart from things like maybe audio recordings that have not been released or some screenshots that have never been released to the public. You know, it's all out there. Anybody could do this. Just because I've not got a spreadsheet doesn't mean to say I've not listened to everything that they've listened to. You know, I would not, as I said before, I would not ever say, I believe this child has been abducted and I believe the parents are innocent if I did not truly believe that. Have I ever said that in Summer Wells' case? No, because I don't know. I give theories, possibilities, because we don't know. The timeline in that case doesn't make sense because there's a big block of time. We have no idea what happened. But this is so tight. Numerous neighbors saw him, actually saw him and spoke to him. And yet he disappeared. So the only way that can be done is if someone took him out of that neighborhood. Or inside a house and then out of the neighborhood. Level-headed. I'm going to make an exception. Oh, you're very welcome. You are very welcome, Brandy. He's such a beautiful little boy. He looks like a little bit like my cousin when he was a kid. And he was a little rumman, as we say around here. He was a little devil. Honestly. We used to go camping. He was 7 years younger than me. We used to go camping, like my auntie and uncle used to take us camping every summer. And because I was the eldest, I was the one that was trusted to look after Mark. And oh my word, Mark, he's old now. Oh, Mark he was a wild one. And I remember him. He used to run off down the beach. He'd run out of the caravan or the trailer, this trailer tent thing. He'd leg it out and he'd be gone. And I was running after him, like trying to catch him. He was like a whippet. He was so fast. And I'd be chasing him, and they'd be like, Michelle, where's Mark? It's like, I don't know. Oh, it was awful, right? He was a little rumman, he was. And he looks a bit like Michael. He does. That's a beautiful little boy. It really is. Yeah, I've got level-headed. I've got a Facebook group. I'm going to make an exception. I'm going to put my email address in chat. Please don't send me a load of emails. When I open my emails for Harsh, I had 470 something unread emails, because I so very rarely check my emails. So if you've ever emailed me and I've not replied, well, that's why. But just for once, it's actually my PayPal address, so people can find it. People can find it, but it's my PayPal address, so I very rarely check it. Right? It'd only be if there was an issue with PayPal. Oh, somebody PayPal me the other day. Thank you so much. I think it was Karen. Karen emailed me. No, didn't email me. PayPal'd me the other day. Thank you for that. And I've also, I think I've mentioned it, I've got a big box of dog treats that I need to, I've opened it now. I've not shown the dogs, but thank you so much for that. I'm going to do a little video on that at some point. I've meant to do more when I've got care packages for the dogs, but they've ended up eating them by the time I've got around to doing a video. So I do appreciate everything everyone sends me. I really do. It's very kind. Dennis the Menace. Mark was Dennis the Menace. Not only was he a runner, he was a fighter as well. So when you caught him, you had to like try to drag him back without looking like you were like, because he'd be fighting. Like, let me go, let me go, let me go. It's like, I'm going to get done here. You know, it's like, oh, well, my word. Oh, thank you. It's very kind. Oh, that's good. Okay, so I'll allow you. Oh, it was Karen, Texas. Thank you so much, Karen. I didn't want to say your surname because obviously that's personal. Oh, Brandy. Oh, what I'll do is I'll do a little video with the dogs, and I'll say that it's to her so that she can hear her name. So we've got Springers with Cassie, and we've got Miss Tillington. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I'm very, very tired. I don't know how these people do 5, 6, 7, 8 hours on lives. Geordie Sue Brown the other day, 20 hours on a live. There is no way in the world. I'm like nearly falling asleep now that I've kind of finished and just want to go and chill now. So thank you so much for being a super audience. Thank you, Brandy, for being here. And I'm so sorry that you have to listen to this nonsense from social media. So sorry. You know, it's not like you're going through enough. You don't need this nonsense from social media. And I just hope that Michael comes home. I really hope Michael comes home. I find it it's so sad, so sad. Every single child deserves to be safe, deserves to be able to walk on their street or in their property, wherever they live in the world, and to be safe. And we live in an evil world, an evil world where children just aren't safe, and it's just awful. It's awful. But he's a beautiful little boy. He really is. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go. Thank you so much, Trixie Star, for modding. I hope it wasn't too wild. I don't think it was wild. Thank you to everyone. And thanks for the super chats earlier on in the stream. And I'll speak to you very soon. Bye, guys. Bye, guys.